Good afternoon, everybody. This week, as you know, is the recisions bill is the legislation that's going to be on the floor. At least we hope it's going to be on the floor later today. We're going to have a couple of procedural votes, and we'll see how those come out. But one thing I can tell you in the Trump administration is that there has been a renewed commitment to reducing spending. It's actually become in favor to try and find ways to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. And I think that was part of his mandate coming out of this election. It's something that he and his administration have committed to do. We have partnered with him when the One Big Beautiful Bill, with the biggest spending reduction in history on the mandatory side of the equation. The rescissions bill this week deals with discretionary spending, the other part of the federal budget. And I'm hopeful that we'll have the opportunity to get on that bill and to do something meaningful when it comes to reducing the size and scope of the federal government, and particularly in areas of our government where we know there is waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, the Democrats have suggested that they would shut the government down over us taking up rescission, that somehow that's going to step on the normal appropriations process. And I guess what I would point out is that rescissions have been a part of the process around here for a long time, not only in the annual appropriations process, but both administrations have in the past submitted rescissions packages to the Congress. And I'd also remind people that what we're talking about here is 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. That's 1,000th of the federal budget that's included in this rescission package. And so I hope we have the votes to get on this bill later today and to have an opportunity for people to offer amendments if they see things that they want to, they think they can fix or modify in the legislation. That's always an opportunity that people have when the bill comes to the floor. But clearly, this is something that all of us believe is a priority. When you've got a $36 trillion debt, we have to do something to get spending under control. Couple that with policies like we had in the One Big Beautiful Bill that create growth in the economy, expand the economy, create those better paying jobs, and generate more government revenue. Couple that with spending restraint, both on the mandatory side and the discretionary side, and we can start to get this thing back into balance, which is where it needs to be if we're going to do anything meaningful to ensure that we have a better and brighter future for future generations of Americans. So that's the subject for today, and obviously we'll have an opportunity to see where the votes are tonight. Question.
Leader, by changing the scope of this and putting the AIDS money back in, was that necessary to get votes to get this to pass the Senate? And what consternation does that cause across the building and the House by changing this and reducing the size of the overall package?
There was a lot of interest among our members in doing something on the PEPFAR issue, and so that's reflected in the substitute. And we hope that if we can get this across the finish line in the Senate, that the House would accept that one small modification that ends up making the package still about a $9 billion rescissions package, a little less than what was sent over from the House, but nonetheless a significant down payment on getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in our government.
Was that pre-baked with Johnson?
Well, I wouldn't say anything's pre-baked, but obviously it's something we've been working closely with the administration on, and my assumption is the level of coordination that we've had between the House and the Senate that they would take up. You're still talking about a $9 billion rescissions package, even with that small modification.
Leader Senator Rounds said that he secured a grant proposal for local public radio in your home state, too. How exactly is that going to work? Do you have to reframe or is that through an amendment process?
Well, it's actually it's a solution that he developed in working with the White House, with OMB, that allows them to reprogram some funding that would address the 28 stations around the country that receive funding through CPB that are on our Native American reservations. So it was an individual thing that he worked out. Yeah.
Can you confirm that it sounds like you just said that with the math, the $400 million cut is out in the substitute. Is that right?
That's in the substitute, right?
Great. And then the $500 million cut in global health is different, but is still in there. How do you respond to global health advocates who say that's still a problem that's affecting maternal health, that's affecting people around the world?
Well, that actually, I think what we just heard from the director of the OMB, that particular account, I don't think is impacted by this. There's a particular program that a lot of our members have interest in, the GOP program, and we were reassured by the OMB director that that would not be affected in this process. But I think it's fair to say that all these accounts and a lot of the funding for some of these programs is being scrutinized and reviewed, and a lot of this came out of the DOJ process. A lot of these recommendations now are an implementation of what DOJ found in areas of the budget that they thought we could achieve savings, but not undermine the critical mission aspects of a lot of these, some of these programs do. So it's a process they've been going through, and obviously we had a chance to hear directly from the OMB Director Rusvo today to talk more specifically about some of the individual components of what they're proposing, and we'll see where our members are on it. We're going to have an opportunity to have that vote tonight.
The appropriations process in the House and Senate is a little bit stalled out at this point. Do you expect a continuing resolution at this point in September? And
Well,
how long would that be?
I would like to have a normal appropriations process. I mean, the Democrats have signaled they don't want one. I mean, the Democrats have made it very clear that they are already countenancing the idea of a government shutdown, which I think is absolutely, I have no idea how that is helpful to them or to anybody. But that being the case, if we can get some cooperation, the committees, the Appropriations Committee, we got some members here, Senator Capito is a member of the committee, have been marking up the bills, and they've got a couple of them that have come out. I think another one's going to come out later this week, and I would like to see us have the opportunity to put some of those bills on the floor of the United States Senate, and let's see if the Democrats want to work with us, if we want to have a regular appropriations process. Remember, one of the reasons we had a CR in April is because the Democrat leader and the Democrats didn't put a single Appropriations Committee passed bill on the floor last year, even though 11 of the 12 had come out of the committee. So this is this would be a new thing, and we'll have to exercise some muscle memory around here to actually have appropriation bills on the floor. But my intent is, if the committee will succeed in getting some of those bills reported out, that we would put some of them together, hopefully, and get a bill on the floor for consideration, and hopefully have Democrat support to try and move the appropriations process in a way that it hasn't now for the past several years here in the Senate.